Attention, and can I please ask you to come closer to the flags? Well, Lord Mayor, Nuncio, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, dear colleagues ambassadors, dear former Taoiseach John Bruton, dear former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern, dear Caoileach, dear Mark Daly, deputies, senators, Chief of Staff of the Irish Defence Forces, dear Admiral Mellett, dear Secretary General of the DFA, dear Niall, Mesdames et Messieurs les conseillers consulaires, chers amis, dear friends, Caid Emile Folcha, Vive a Correggio. Welcome to the French residence. On behalf of the whole team of the French Embassy to Ireland, I welcome you to this iconic residence, commissioned by an Irish family who had migrated, made a fortune abroad, and came back to Ireland in the 1880s. This building has been the French residence since 1930. It has hosted several French presidents, prime ministers, and many high-level guests. It is an honor and a privilege to host this first Bastille Day in Dublin, and indeed an honor and a privilege to represent France in a country which has, I quote, a special place in the heart of French people, as General de Gaulle said when he visited Ireland back in 1969. I thank you warmly, dear Caoileach, for the warm words you expressed in the Senate, and again today for extending a tricolor. And our two flags indeed are like siblings, and so are our people, if I may say. I'm also glad to see that you are so numerous today, within the limit of 200, of course. As you can imagine, it was a kind of a bet when we eventually decided to go ahead with the organization of this reception, and we're glad to be the first embassy to have organized a National Day reception, and not just online, but it's also online for all those who couldn't attend. Belgium will follow very soon, and I congratulate my dear Belgian friend, cher Pierre-Emmanuel, for your upcoming National Day in a week's time. Dear friends, what a challenging year, but also what a great resilience. Who could have imagined this 16 months ago? What a great collective response within our societies and within the European Union. It was and remains a bumpy road, but the direction is clear, and France and Ireland can arguably say, with our fellow EU member states, we are stronger together. After 9 months in Ireland, and I was tempted to say after 9 months in Dublin, because I was stuck in Dublin, I'm impressed by the depth and the width of the Franco-Irish relation. I'm also impressed by the interest shown on both sides to do more. Yes, France is now Ireland's closest EU neighbor, and we are proud to be. This new status is an invitation to cooperate even more. And this is our shared ambition for the joint Franco-Irish Action Plan, which should be adopted before year's end. We want to do more in the area of sustainable growth, higher education, research, and digital economy to dovetail the priorities of the European Union. We want to cooperate more internationally. We're already doing a lot together, notably in the United Nations Security Council, and our soldiers are proudly serving side by side under UN or EU flag, like in Lebanon or Mali. The Bastille Day celebration in France is also the day when the French nation celebrates its armed forces, hence the famous parade of the Champs-Élysées, which took also place today, this morning. Here in Dublin, I also want to express my gratitude as ambassador to Colonel Giroux, Defense Attaché, who will be leaving soon, and also to the veterans of the French Foreign Legion behind me. They are, in a way, the modern incarnation of the wild geese. Dear friends, youth is a symbol of our shared destiny in the European Union. That is why we want to exchange even more students, while French students are already, by far, the first contingent of Erasmus students in Ireland, and while France is the first destination of Irish Erasmus students in the European Union. There are already 45 double degree curricula between French and Irish universities, and we will have more in the months and years to come. And I'm glad to welcome also in this group President Kirsten May, the President of the University of Limerick. Now, I invite you to enjoy this reception, to meet again and exchange, and not just online. I thank the whole team of the embassy for their hard work, and I also thank our generous sponsors, Bulgari, Pernod Ricard, L'Occitane, and Servier, for making this possible. To you all I say, long live Ireland, long live the Franco-Irish friendship, long live Europe. To my compatriots here today, physically or online, I wish a happy National Day. Bonne Fête nationale, bon 14 juillet, vive l'amitié franco-irlandaise, vive la République, vive la France.
Thank you, Ambassador, to the Lord Mayor and to all the members of the Diplomatic Corps, to my colleagues from the Oireachtas. I'm going to say something that's very rarely said by a politician. I'm going to keep this short. On Bastille Day, there was only, I think, 11 or 13 prisoners actually in the jail, so it wasn't the big revolution that everyone thought it was, but it actually did spark a huge change across France, but also across the world. And as ever, there was always an Irishman involved, because one of those prisoners happened to be an Irishman. His beard at the time, it was reported to be about 1 metre long. But as the ambassador has said, we have twins when it comes to our flag. And of course, our flag dates back to 1848, and it did come from France, physically come from France. And the man who brought it back from France was Thomas Francis Meagher. And Thomas Francis Meagher, I see a lot of people with extraordinary careers in front of me, but Thomas Francis Meagher probably had the most extraordinary career of any Irishman that ever existed. Not only did he run for politics at the age of 23, I see James O'Connor over there, so James is a bit younger than that when he got elected, but to Dáil, he failed to get elected, unlike James O'Connor, and he then decided to be involved in the Revolution of 1848. And in the Revolution of 1848, he was captured, put on trial for high treason. And when put on trial for high treason, the judge said, well, before I pass sentence, have you anything to say in your defence? Now, the legal people out there would probably have come up with much better phrases than what Thomas Francis Meagher came up with. But Thomas Francis Meagher turned around and said, well, Your Honour, I give you my word as a gentleman that if you do not sentence me to death, I will try again. And in fairness to the judge, he did sentence him to death, true to his word. It was high treason after all, but it got commuted for transportation for life to Australia. He was sent to Australia. He escaped from Australia. He ended up leaving Van Diemen's Land by an escape route which was fairly circuitous, ended up in New York. He was involved in and joined the Irish Brigade in the American Civil War. He was involved in the Battle of Antietam. He was involved in the Battle of Fredericksburg, which was referred to by John F. Kennedy when he gave us the flag of the 69th Regiment, which flies in Leinster House to this day. But he was also a friend of Lincoln, and he was a pallbearer at Lincoln's funeral. He went on to become the governor of Montana, and at the age of 43, he disappeared and was never seen again. What a career. But back to the start. At the start in 1848, he flew a tricolour flag from a building called in 33 the Mall in Waterford. And he spoke about the significance of the flag, and he said the white in the centre will signify a lasting truce between orange and green. And I hope beneath its folds that Irish Catholics and Irish Protestants will live in generous and heroic brotherhood. And this is a flag that has flown from 33 the Mall in Waterford, and I'd like to present it today to our ambassador from France. Thank you, Ambassador.
Monsieur l'Ambassadeur de France en Irlande, ladies and gentlemen, ambassadors, ministers of state, deputies and senators, friends. It's my pleasure as Lord Mayor of Dublin to represent the citizens of Dublin here on your National Day. France, as you said, is now Ireland's closest neighbour in the European Union. The deep bonds of friendship between our two countries are indeed rooted in history and have grown stronger over the centuries. We do all recall General de Gaulle's 6-week visit to Ireland in 1969, including his stay in Dublin in Oris and Uachtaráin, where he said, "I shall take away from my stay with you the certainty that Ireland and France are two countries made to understand, appreciate, value and enjoy each other." And I think today is testament to that. The cultural links between France and Ireland, particularly with the city of Dublin, are also very close. For example, as you said, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur, France is the #1 destination for Irish Erasmus students, and the French are the largest contingent of European students in Dublin, probably because we present French as one of our Leaving Cert foreign languages, so it does help. Moreover, the presence of a dynamic French school in Dublin gives me great pride as a former teacher here in Ireland and abroad. Many of our Irish writers, as you know, James Joyce, Samuel Beckett, Oscar Wilde, W.E. Yeats, found inspiration in Paris. And similarly, I have no doubt that many of the 7,000 French people living in Dublin, including many of those students, too find inspiration here, contributing to Dublin life, particularly in the culinary fields, sport and academia. The proximity between our two countries is reflected in the increasing number of direct maritime links between Dublin and France, particularly the ports of Cherbourg and Dunkirk, which are so beneficial now to the smooth functioning of the European single market. Such economic exchanges between France and Ireland are part of a long history. To give you an example, in my hometown of Ballybay, County Monaghan, about an hour and a half north of here, flax growing was introduced by French Huguenots in the 17th century, who brought their knowledge from the south of France. Later, in the 19th century, the flax industry became the main source of employment in my town. So our history goes back a long, long time. Today, the economic links between our two nations are still strong, and a standout example are the French companies operating part of our transport network here in Dublin and helping us to realise our ambition to make Dublin a sustainable and smart city. On the European and international scene, France and Ireland are both fundamentally committed to respect for human rights, to equality between all genders and the inclusion of minorities, something that is very close to my heart as Lord Mayor. I am therefore very pleased to learn, Monsieur Ambassadeur, of that new chapter that we are going to write in our relationship together, because we do share a common destiny in the European Union. I am convinced that together we will be stronger, and as an alternate member of the European Committee of the Regions, I would like to express the support of the City of Dublin in strengthening local authority cooperation between our two countries within a stronger, more united European Union. So, merci beaucoup pour votre invitation à cet bel événement. Je vous souhaite une très bonne fête de la Bastille. Prendre avec moi, if I had a glass, un verre avec moi. Lost my space. Okay. Vive la France, notre voisin le plus proche en Europe. Vive l'Irlande et vive l'amitié franco-irlandaise. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. President of the Senate, and Mrs. Lord Mayor of Dublin. Now, if you please, I would like to introduce you Mr. Anthony Byrne and Mrs. Mairead Brick that will interpret the French, Irish, and European anthems. Thank you very much, and happy Bastille Day.
L'enfant de la patrie, jour de gloire et Entendez-vous dans nos campagnes muguer ces féroces égards? Ils viennent jusque dans nos bras, égorger vos filles, vos campagnes. Azur, mes citoyens, formez-vous bataillons, marchons, marchons, cassons empire, abrevez nos silons. Azur, mes citoyens, formez-vous bataillons, marchons, marchons, cassons empire, abrevez nos silons. Skinne fjerne fall, at da fjaulegeren Boindar slo, at indoranikon Favoid vese, shantir og skinnkjer fasta, ni og kvar von tyrann og fintroll. Anokta heimsa varna vel, legianar goel kan borsnosel, leganar skrak og lavagnabbine. Sjalif kan ik arana vin. Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium, wir betreten feuertrunken, himmlische dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden